Well, hello there. Welcome to your general weekly reading for the week of November 12th, 2018. This week, I'll be using the Mystic Fairy Tarot cards by Barbara Moore and intuiting any additional messages that come in from the universe and from our guides so that we have the absolute best understanding on what it is to come in this upcoming week. How are you doing? How was your week last week? We spoke a little bit about brain fog and fatigue and energy overwhelm. If you were feeling that was true for you last week, I hope that you felt the shift on the weekend. If not, the shift will still be coming for you. There was a temporary download of energy that was making us a bit sleepy. But I believe that this was for the highest and greatest good. So when we have really intense, powerful energies coming in that are influencing us, it's a time for us to really grow and evolve and change. And these energies are coming in to serve us so that we can get ready for whatever new adventures and projects that we are meant to embark on in the upcoming time. So as much as those times can be a bit uncomfortable and a bit unsavory, it's just, temporary. Just enjoy them as much as you can, and of course, serve yourself in whatever way you can. Needs. What are your needs? What are you needing from yourself, from others, from your life? That is a big theme, I think, in the upcoming week. So we had all of this energy coming in, kind of pushing stuff out of the way, pushing distractions out of our sight, and also bringing in a new set of networks, if you will, a new set of beliefs or a new set of patterns. And so when these things come in, it's a great time for us to, of course, look at our life and see what's not fitting within our new scope of feeling anymore. So what is now that we have all this new information and all this new energy, what is this now meaning for our life today? And so when we come in, sometimes it's the same thing when you come back from a vacation, you have a very fresh set of eyes and you can kind of see things very clearly. That could definitely be very similar to what is going on for you this upcoming week. So last week was a really intense kind of change on the very internal world. You may not necessarily feel it yet, but it will come out over time. Of course, it's all good. So take that into consideration when you're looking at your life this week. And if certain things don't fit or don't feel the same way that they did even the week before or 6 months ago, maybe look at the changes that you can actually start to make in those areas so that you can be living the most absolute best life possible for yourself. So when we are looking at our needs, we may start to notice very clearly that we are having a lot of needs unmet, or that we are ignoring our own needs because of our loyalty or our needs to fulfill other people instead of ourselves. So this week, look at your life. If you're feeling depleted in a certain area, look at the actions that you can take for yourself to fulfill your own needs. And if you are, that person who's always self-sacrificing and serving others more than yourself, maybe empower those around you who you helped so much. Maybe empower them to do the same for themselves. And you can learn how to help yourself first, because you have to fill your own cup in order to fill others as well. And self-care is so important. It's something that we ignore so much. And we often don't realize that we need the self-care until we get sick, or until our back gives out, or until we're just so exhausted, or until we've gained 20 pounds and we're like, holy crap, I need to start taking better care of myself. It's those really drastic moments, but the angels are kind of telling me that it doesn't have to be that way. And now is the time to really highlight those areas so that you don't get to that point where it's super drastic and now you have to make a huge change. These are the moments that it'll become super abundantly clear, and just take advantage of it and adjust. And they don't have to be huge, huge life changes. They can just be tiny adjustments. So like the exercise thing, if you are really feeling like your body is aging and you're not feeling agile or anything, or you're feeling quite tired and fatigued and you want to start exercising, don't go all the way to exercising 7 days a week. Maybe just start with going for walks every day, maybe walk for half an hour every day. Start that way. So make just tiny little adjustments that seem easy for you to put into your life that don't seem like such a huge change or like such a huge commitment. There seems to be like some static in the air also. So if you find yourself seeing flashes of light or orbs in your vision that weren't there before, and there's no physical reason for you to be feeling that way, like you don't have a migraine or, you know, any sort of those kinds of things or any condition that would give that as a symptom. If you're perfectly healthy and everything and you're starting to see orbs, those are guides, because it seems as though like the veil is very thin this time of year, as we've spoken about before, the veil between the worlds, between here and the other side, the physical and the non-physical. And so you might start to see orbs, or you might find that blue light, especially from phones and computer screens and those kinds of things, are really harsh and really intense. So just be mindful of that this week. And if you are seeing orbs, it doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong. If you do feel worried about it, then of course go to a doctor. But when we start to see orbs, when I said there's no physical reason for them, that's our guides. I'm just saying hello and knowing that they're with you. So that's just for them to let you know that you are here. So don't be afraid of that. Be discerning as well, the people that you talk to and bring into your life, and the people that you were asking for advice. Be mindful and be discerning, and consider the source. If people are giving you unsolicited advice, consider the source when you are making your decisions or when you're taking their opinion into consideration. Okay, what are we to... Okay, Monday. Okay, cards always come out in such interesting ways when I'm doing these weekly readings. They just kind of plop out and present themselves. Okay. Okay, so for the theme of this week, we have Judgment. And so the Judgment card we've had before, I think recently as well. So the Judgment card is all about judgment. How are you judging yourself and others as well? It is a time to, this is kind of going along with what I was saying about the needs, judging your own needs in an unbiased way. So how are you fulfilling your needs? Are your needs being met? And are you placing any sort of judgment or resentment onto others because others are able to fulfill their own needs, or that you are jealous of that? Or are you depleting yourself completely because you are giving everything to others instead of yourself? This is also, if you have any sort of legal thing happening, this could be a sign that it's coming into resolution this week. But it's really about looking at that human tendency to judge and to criticize. And so if we're judging and criticizing others, we're opening ourselves up to receive that in return. So what would your life look like if you held a spot of love instead of criticism for people who just drive you nuts? What would that look like for you? There will be this overarching theme and influence of the Judgment card. This is a major arcana card, so when we have major arcana, of course, we don't have a whole lot of influence. So these will kind of be universal lessons for us. The universe will be bringing these really fun situations where you'll find yourself wanting to seep back into those old patterns of, if your thing is judgment or criticism or resentment, whatever it is, you'll find yourself in those situations, but there might be a part of you that wants to stop and halt for a second and look at that judgment and maybe choose another path. So if you're conscious of that, and in every moment, every time you do realize that, that is a sign that you need to flip the way that you are behaving and go another way. So coming at them with love, and instead of sending somebody daggers, if you're mad at them or sending them dirty looks, send them love instead, and your life will transform. Okay. we have the Knight of Swords for Monday, Tuesday. So the Knight of Swords is about action, and this is in the mental body, in the mental realm. This does partner in very nicely with the Judgment card, because where we live within our judgments is in our head. That's where they all live. That's where they all operate, is in the mental body, in the mental space. And this is merely a protection. So if you are able to judge something, you can put it into a category, and that category is either safe or unsafe. So really looking at that this week, and what maybe your misconceptions or your predetermined judgments that you have of certain people, and is that making your opinions of that person, is it murking that relationship up a little bit? If you do have a particular distaste for someone, every time they speak or anytime they have an idea, you automatically assume that it's a bad idea just because in the past they've burned you, or they've annoyed you, or they haven't had good ideas in the past. Are you seeing everyone with a blank canvas? And if you don't see God in everyone, you won't see God at all. Which is to say, if you're not trying to seek the love and see the light in every single person, then it's hard for you to see the light in anything. So we always have to have love for people, no matter how much they push our buttons, and how awful our judgments are of them. And in our mental body and our human brain, they're completely justified, because some people really do hurtful things. But it's your soul and your spirit that suffers as a result of that. So you don't have to like someone to send them love. We're not asking for you to be fake. It's just a thought that if somebody is really, pushing you, or you just really don't mesh with them, you don't really have to like them as a person. Just don't go above and beyond to be a jerk to them, and send them love instead. So with this Knight of Swords, this is an action card. So how are you acting? And this is what this is kind of meaning this week, is how are you acting? How are you pushing forward? And this Knight goes whether you get on board or you get out of the Knight's way. So how are you going forward? Are you throwing your swords, or are you simply using them as a tool to lead others? It's a choice this week. You do have a choice in this way. The Knight of Swords could also be a person coming in, and I feel like this Knight of Swords, if it is you, definitely look at that. Definitely look at life with that lens. And if you are one of those people who's just stubborn and just out for themselves and just trying to barrel through people to get forward, but if this is not you, this could be a person who's coming into your life that's showing you that behavior, and either you admire that or you don't. And it's also about not judging that person's behavior if you don't agree with it, but taking what you can from each person and learning it. This is a really people-centered week this week so far. Yeah, that's what the Knight of Swords is about this week. Okay, so the Tower. So the Tower is another major arcana card. And so the Tower, if you can see, is burning. So that doesn't mean your house is going to burn down. It means the Tower is a death of the inside world. So we are looking a lot at judgments. So it could be that your belief systems are going to be changing, and your inside world is going to be changing in a nice, beautiful way. The Tower card is really powerful because it's not so much about change on the outside as it is about the inside. But when we change on the inside, then the outside world automatically has to reflect that eventually. So when we're doing those changes on the inside, that's really when you can start to make those nice, grand, big leaps that you want to forward, and that you can make those changes and those decisions. So we talked a bit about at the front at the beginning of this reading about your needs. So this is a bit about that. We're crumbling down all of your belief systems about your needs. Are you putting other people's needs first? And if so, this is the perfect week, especially midweek, for you to start to change that story and that pattern on the inside. And the same thing with judgment and criticism. It's a great time for us to rewrite that program and change that behavior from the inside so that it can reflect nicely on the outside. Because like I said, if you are sending out judgment and criticism, that is all you will receive in return. The Tower card is really incredible. I had a period of my life last year that the theme was the Tower. Every year, this is something that we can do too one-on-one if you're interested, but every year of your life is one card in the major arcana, and it describes your whole year, kind of the theme. And last year my card was the Tower, and there was an enormous transformation that happened on the inner world, which was very incredible and very cool. So this can be major change if you want on the inside. What is it that really is holding you back and making you feel bad about yourself? And how can you rewrite that so that it's a more loving story and a more accepting story, and start to make those changes on the inside world so that it's easier to get out on the outside. So the exercise example, maybe this week isn't necessarily about going out and exercising. Maybe it's about healing those wounds in you that makes you feel like you need to do that to be worthy. Maybe it's that you need to get over those barriers that are preventing you from getting up and going to the gym and all of those excuses. Maybe that's what this week is about for you. So it's about the inner world. It's about the mind. It's about how we react in the story that we project onto others because of our own wounds and our own judgments. Okay, so we have the Three of Pentacles, and the Three of Pentacles is a nice, lovely card for the weekend. So Pentacles is about our money and about our physical world, security, job, all of that. Open yourself up to receive assistance from others. This is about community, and this is about collecting all of your resources for winter. So we are making our way towards the winter solstice. And so this is a really good time for hibernation. This is kind of what we all feel like doing. If you live in a climate that's kind of cold right now, we all kind of feel like eating a bunch of junk food and just sleeping nonstop and binge watching Netflix. So that's a little bit about the energy that's happening. So this weekend, collect your resources, collect those tools, collect all of those insights and beliefs that you want to bring in to fulfill this and to assist with the burning of the tower on the inside. All of these new beliefs that you want to replace with the old patterns and beliefs and stories that don't serve you. Collecting all of those resources so that you can go forward in the winter and feel nurtured and nourished, and that you have plenty to serve, like you have plenty that will help you to survive for the rest of the year until the spring comes again. Also, stopping and appreciating things. So one practice that you might want to do instead of criticizing yourself or others is to bring up something that you really like about that person and keep it close to you. So if there's somebody in particular that's really challenging, come up with a list of things that you actually admire about them and think of those and have those on hand when they are interacting with you, and if they push those buttons as well. Or, in those moments where you may slip up and judge someone or criticize somebody, don't judge yourself or criticize yourself for doing that. Send out another thought after it, because you can't stop a thought, and making yourself feel guilty about not keeping a promise to yourself, no matter how small or how big it is not going to do anything but eat you up more. So instead, send out a loving message after it to kind of catch up with it and counteract it. Any other messages for us? This is going to be a really cool week. You may find that your stubborn behaviors come out a little bit this week. It's okay, just play with them a little bit. Again, notice where they're limiting you and where they're perhaps running over other people, and how you can maybe utilize that in a more loving way. So this isn't about squashing your personality traits. This is about utilizing them in the best way so that you can serve yourself absolutely in the best way, in the highest order. Because everything about the human experience is perfect and divine, and it's all about how you want to look and how your intention, like what your intentions are when you're acting in a certain way. So, a lot of us like to get down on ourselves because we have an ego, and the ego loves to be fearful or to judge and to criticize, whatever it is. But that ego also serves you in many ways. So it's not about trying to squash those behaviors and those natural born abilities, but it's about how to transmute them and how to maybe know when they're serving you and when they're not. For example, judging a situation that feels kind of unsafe, that's a very good thing. That's what has kept us alive for this long. That's what has serves us, and that's why we have that. But judging someone when you're in a completely safe place just because they have something that you want or because you don't like the way that they do something, that's not the best use of that ability. So I hope you go forward in your week looking at these things and not being too hard on yourself and not judging yourself for having these kinds of behaviors, because we're human and this is just part of the human experience, but that you send love out after you have those moments of weakness, if you want to look at them that way, when you're trying to change something, and you go back to your old patterns, we like to just go, oh crap. But it's okay, send your love instead anyways. And in those moments where you do find that dialogue going on in your head about judgment, criticism, I'm not enough, whatever it is, stop it, send out another loving thought instead and let it go. And don't be afraid to be the boss in your own mind and in your own energy. So sometimes what I do when I have a story running around in my head over and over again, and it's really not good and it's just consuming, is I'll imagine that like a bunch of people, different types of Katies, are sitting around like a table of some kind, like a meeting table in a meeting room. And I'll just imagine myself standing up and just telling everybody to shut up and that I'm the boss now, which sounds like kind of aggressive, but sometimes you have to take control in that way of your own mind and say, this is enough. This is ridiculous. I'm not listening to this story that I'm not enough. I'm too judgmental. I criticize too much. I will never be worthy. Whatever the story is that you're saying, it's just looping you into a bad place. So it's unproductive and it doesn't serve anything. So instead you stand up and you say, I refuse to think these bad thoughts anymore. I'm actually deciding that we're going to be more positive and more uplifting because we're doing okay. And I'm saying I'm in charge and no more. And it actually will stop the stories. So if you find yourself going too far down, just stand up in your own head and say, enough. I'm deciding that this is going to be okay and that everyone's highest and greatest good is going to be served and that we're going to choose loving thoughts and loving behaviors. And just keep doing that and see if it works. And if you do try that, please let me know. I would love to hear from you. Please tell me about the things that you're trying to work on or the things that you have tried that work for you. I would love to hear it. I love hearing from all of you, so comment below. And I would love to hear from you. And if you would like to reach out to me and tell me about what's going on and how you are getting through whatever you're getting through, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at thejourneytospirit@gmail.com. And if you haven't already, come by katiehunt.ca to subscribe for your chance to win a free Reiki session and to also sign up to hear all of my weekly insights and all special things that I only offer to those who are subscribed to my website. That is where you get the real information. Not that this wasn't real, but you get even more information in the email list. So it's a good email to receive every week, if I do say so myself, even though I'm biased. But I hope that you have the best week ahead. I hope that your week is filled with love and you tell those judgments to just go to sleep. And please let me know how your week is. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you so much for being here. I so do appreciate it.